And good morning everyone, it's Munib from Social Driving Academy, and today I have Mclean with me for a restricted mock driving test. So welcome Mclean. You've got an interesting name because your first and last names both sound like last names.
They do, yes, yeah. My parents thought I would be special, and they tied back to my Scottish heritage, and so they made my first name like a last name. But yeah.
Interesting. And so you're on your learner's license, getting ready for your restricted, and you have your test booked in June.
Yes.
About mid-June, so you've got a couple of weeks to go.
3, yeah.
But you've had your license for a long time.
Yes, I have. Yes, yeah. Basically, long story short, I've lived in the city for most of my life, and mostly for that reason, I just haven't felt a need to progress. I mean, I got the learners just so I had an ID, and then after that I didn't really feel a need to, because of public transport and ease of access to everything else around me. So, but now that it is close to expiring, I'm feeling like it is probably time to get the restricted, even if I'm not too sure if I will still use it too often, because again, I'm still living in the city, but again, just something else to sort of take off the life checklist.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and it gives you that freedom as well later on, right? Like if you do go overseas or you go somewhere else where you might want to drive, then at least you have that freedom. And once it's that it's ticked off that list, then you don't have to worry about it. Cool. So you've how much sort of driving have you been doing then over the last 10 years then?
I had a few, probably about 2-3 years ago. I was practicing with my dad in one of his manual cars, and that probably went on for about a couple of months, and then there wasn't really any reason, but I just kind of stopped at that point practicing. And then fast forward to January, or basically New Year's this year, I bought my own car. It was a automatic Nissan Tita, and so I've just gone back to practicing in that. I've been doing that probably once or twice a week ever since the beginning of the year, basically. And just doing lots of different things, and again, just practicing with my dad, and either around our suburb in Onehunga, or driving out to GI a couple of times, of course, because I'm going to be doing the test out here. And just regular tests over the last like 4 or 5 months.
Good. Okay, cool. So what we'll do today is going to be like the restricted test, in that I'll give you directions. We'll go through the different maneuvers required to drive on New Zealand roads around the area here. Unlike the test, I'll give you some feedback while we drive along. I'll take notes as well, that I'll email through to you later on. Besides that, do you have any questions before we begin?
I don't think so. I think I think everything's good.
All right, so then whenever you're ready, you're welcome to move off and turn right out of the car park here, and then we'll turn left out of the driveway and head in that direction.
Okay. Yes. So you're saying turning right down onto the street, but then doing the first left. Is that what you mean? Or?
Sorry. I just meant let's exit right out of this.
Sorry.
This car park space,
and then turn left at the end.
And then we'll turn left at the end of the driveway.
So it's just because my car, this is one of these handbrakes.
Okay. So it's just a handbrake. And then the gears are just over here. You can also see the gear in the little dashboard there.
Cool.
And then a left turn at the end of the driveway. Straight ahead for now. At the next street, turn right.
Okay.
with a street like this where it's quite narrow and there's parked cars on both sides, if you are having across the middle of the road or the center line, then you should indicate right, check mirrors, check blind spot on that side, and then do the same to come back in. Like for example, now moving over to the right, and then you'd cancel signal, and then you'd indicate to come back in.
Oh, okay, right,
So same again there, you know, with the parked car on the left hand side, you'd indicate right early, check mirror, check blind spot to let people know that you're moving across. That's it. It is a little bit of work. Same again, that's it. Or you just stay out in this example here, you just stay out and then come back in once you've passed both sets of parked cars. At the end of the road, turn left. Probably went a little bit wide there.
I realised that,
So maybe just a little bit of slowing down, or a little bit more slowing down towards the end. That'll help you stay more to the left. At the end of the road, turn right. At the roundabout, turn left. First exit. Still 30 up until the 50k sign. At the next street, turn left. At the next street, turn left.
Okay.
And let's turn around at the end of the driveway, at the end of the dead end.
Sure. Yeah.
Here, Mclean, you'd also indicate right to let everyone know that you're doing a U-turn. Also, just with that that left turn out of that sort of main road into the street here. There was a bike lane on the left hand side, so you do a shoulder check before turning left.
Right, okay, yeah.
Right turn at the end of the road. At the end of the road, turn left. At the roundabout, turn right, third exit.
Okay.
At the roundabout, straight ahead, second exit.
Okay.
Yeah, so with your straight aheads, Mclean, there's no need to indicate
there isn't?
right. Yeah, there isn't a need to indicate
okay.
right. In fact, you shouldn't. Let me rephrase that. You shouldn't indicate right, because people will then think you're doing the third exit.
Right. Yeah, sorry, it's just because I just thought that the rule was to still indicate even if you are going straight. But
left turn into this next street. No, so it's just indicating left to exit when you're going straight ahead. Yeah. Nice, good work. At the next street, turn left. At the end of the road, turn left.
okay.
At the next street, turn left.
Okay.
Cool. So I'm going to look for a car for us to reverse parallel park behind. When I see one that has a bit of space on behind it, I'll ask you to park up next to it.
Sure.
What about this Jeep over here, the black one?
The black one?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, let's park up next to it. Actually, no, sorry. What about that little Toyota Vitz?
Okay. Yep.
Okay, yep, that should give us enough
Okay.
clearance in the back. Yep, so if you can indicate left as well. Cool. Check your blind spot right as well, just to make sure no one's coming out of a driveway on that side. Cool. Yeah, that's probably my bad in terms of planning there. Yeah, that's fine. Let's move off.
Okay.
Steer back to the left. Yep, just straighten up. Cool, and let's continue straight ahead. Cool, so in itself, Mclean, that wasn't too bad with the reverse parallel park. You positioned yourself nicely to finish off. My only comments would be around making sure that you check both your blind spots before you reverse parallel park. So you're also looking at the right, but also that perhaps you keep both your hands on the wheel versus putting one hand behind the passenger back seat. Left turn, only because that locks your hand into the back of the seat there. Whereas and that then limits how much you can steer and how much control you have over the steering wheel. And it kind of then also forces you, it prevents you from being able to look to the right into that blind spot, because you're like fixed in that kind of position, and it's harder to look towards the right in terms of that blind spot there. Left turn. Left turn, sorry. And then a right turn into the next street. At the end of the road, turn left. I think that you're going a little bit wide on your left turns.
Okay.
Because you're coming into the end of the intersection, you're coming in rolling, and that's fine, right? Like if you're rolling, then it's easier to sort of carry on through if there's no vehicles that you've got to give way to. Straight ahead.
Okay. Yep.
But perhaps you can make that rolling a little bit slower.
Okay. Yeah.
Make sure that you're scanning ahead as well, Mclean, for any vehicles coming straight ahead that the right will have to give way to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's turn left into the next street.
Sure.
Good. Yeah. And then let's park up on the left hand side anywhere along here. Just by the blue bin will be perfect. And remember to indicate, of course.
Yeah.
Cool. And maybe you can turn that wiper down.
Yeah.
Cool, and let's do a U-turn. Let's a 3-point turn. Sorry, let's turn around.
Okay.
A 3-point turn.
Yep.
Yep, that's enough clearance in the front. And then at the end of the road, let's turn left.
Okay.
Yep. Straight ahead. At the end of the road, turn left.
Okay.
Straight ahead at the roundabout, second exit. There's 2 lanes here, so you're going to need to stay on the left.
Yeah.
Stay left some more.
Yeah.
At the roundabout, turn right.
Okay.
3rd exit.
Yep.
So remember to watch the front as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Straight ahead. At the next street, turn left.
Yep.
Yep. Good. Same again here, and you could probably do the indicator a little bit early. And start to position yourself into that kind of centered space early.
Yeah.
But also that when there's a street in that direction, then you probably want to cancel your indicator early as well,
Right.
so that people don't think you're turning in.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a short sharp and then cancel.
Okay. Yep.
Same with if there's a street on the left, then you probably just want to cancel really early. Yeah. Yep. And you probably just want to move across a little bit earlier too, Mclean, so that one, you don't get too close to the vehicle in front, and two, that you don't have a vehicle behind you start to try and overtake you left turn prior to you being able to move across, and then you get stuck in behind the parked vehicle.
Yeah.
Yep, plenty of room. You would have had
Yeah.
Yeah, see, with your stopped intersections, it's not too bad because you're coming to a stop, and then you're able to turn enough to stay in on your side. Right turn at the roundabout.
Yeah.
But because with your giveaways, you're sort of rolling in, and you're potentially maybe just looking for too long to the right, and then that means that you're already halfway into the intersection before you begin turning.
Yeah.
But even then, with your stopped intersection, you kind of went, maybe you kind of went center right in terms of the position that you turned into. You'd probably want to go left center in terms of our lane.
Okay.
You know, like if you think about our lane, and there being like 3 parts to it. You know, the middle, the right side closer to the right side of the road, and then the left side closer to the curb. You probably want to go like center left or left center versus center right. Just so that you're away from any oncoming vehicles and that sort of thing. Let's go straight ahead at the roundabout, second exit. And remember to indicate left to exit, of course.
Okay. Sorry, so do I still indicate even when going, because that was straight, right?
Yep. So you always indicate left to exit, but in terms of the straight,
you don't indicate at the start.
Yeah, you don't indicate coming in.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. Right turn at the traffic light.
Okay.
Perhaps we can cancel our window wipers.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. So, yeah.
At the roundabout, straight ahead. So second exit.
Yep.
Yep, just like that. Yep. At the traffic light, straight ahead. When safe, let's change lanes to the left.
Okay.
At the roundabout, straight ahead, second exit.
Yep.
In fact, it's your first exit, I think. Yep.
Our first exit? Okay.
Yeah, it's just a straight ahead.
Right.
Yeah, there is an exit to the left. Yeah, somewhere there. It's a bit hard to see, but there's a merge there.
Yeah.
You did see the signs on the sides of the road, the merge signs?
No,
no?
I did not see
Oh,
that,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, it was a bit hard to see the actual merge.
Yeah.
But there were the 2 signs. At the roundabout, second exit, right turn.
Yep.
So, of course, with the merge, then you'd indicate check mirrors, check blind spot.
Yeah.
To meet in the middle. Remember to scan your left as well.
Yeah.
Looking out for any approaching vehicles that the right will have to give way to. Nice. Yep. Good work. Nice. Yep. Yeah, it's a bit curvy there, like, you know, with the right turn. It's wide and then it kind of goes narrow. That there. You'd perhaps maybe just turn right into the right side of the lane and then just follow that line into the middle.
Okay.
Versus kind of pushing across to the left side of that. It's really, really wide. The entrance into the exit there.
Yeah.
At the traffic light, turn right.
Okay.
Staying to the right, staying to the right. Yep. 2 lanes there. Yep. And then at the traffic light, turn right.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously sometimes it's a bit hard to know whether you're turning from a single lane and then whether it's only going to be a single lane or multiple lanes.
Yeah.
So I guess for that, you know, you just want to sort of roll in nice and slow and try and look towards your exit as best as possible.
Yeah.
And try and stick to the right as best as possible. If you're doing a right turn.
Yeah.
But just accounting for that, the possibility of a multiple lane split. Turning from a single lane.
Yep.
Just a little bit more slowing down. Just with the narrow road and the downhill. Cool. Follow the road to the right. straight ahead for now. The roundabout, first exit, left turn. Straight ahead at the roundabout, first exit. Yeah, it's probably not so good for the wipers if you have them running.
Yeah.
When it's not wet, the windscreen. At the roundabout, first exit, left turn.
Okay.
The next street, turn left.
Okay.
Remember, it's 30k through here.
Oh, was it? That was a 50 sign, wasn't it? Just before.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. just testing it. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want this to sound like I'm trying to defend myself here. It was probably just still a little bit congested, so I probably felt like
Still could have gone a bit slower.
Yeah, it was probably, I felt like maybe the 30k prior, that was a legal speed limit there, but then it stops at some point, but it was probably still congested.
Right.
And then I was probably thinking it's still 30k into the legal speed limit, because it was still congested, but it wasn't so, but it was probably just still congested enough that I'd probably keep it at that sort of 30k speed limit.
Yep.
Right turn at the end. One last check, Mclean. Are you familiar with how to turn right using the flush median to turn right? For example, if the right was clear and the left was busy, you'd turn into the middle of the road, you know, into the flush median to turn right. Have you done that before?
I don't think so, no.
No? Do you want to give that a try? Like just turning into the flush median, giving way to the left, and then sort of changing lanes into the
left lane after that.
So you'd only do that when the right, if the right was clear and the left was busy, you'd move into the middle. But let's see if we get an opportunity to try that. Like for example, like now, so giving way to this guy. Otherwise just slowly moving into the flush median, staying to the right, nice and slow, even slower if you like. And then changing lanes to the left and carrying on through. Right turn into this first street here.
Okay.
Plenty of room. Nice and easy. That's it. And then let's work our way back around the end of the road, the dead end. U-turn. So was that a maneuver you haven't done before?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. It's one that you know, you'll be expected to be familiar with and comfortable with. So definitely, you know, practice doing that as well. Left turn at the end of the road. Let's carry on straight through, and then turn right into the VTNZ driveway. This one coming up now.
So
that's it. And turn left into here. And park up anywhere along the left or the right, wherever you like. That's okay, you can fix this. So with a car park like this, you are allowed to sort of move over to the right a bit before you do that left turn into the car park space, to make it easier for you to be able to park up on your first attempt, but you are allowed to readjust as necessary. There's no requirement for you to get it right in the first go in terms of parking, in terms of car park. And coming over to the left some, I think. That's it. And you can use those blind spot mirrors as well to see whether you're centered. You're not quite centered, but you're within the line, so that's still acceptable.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. You're welcome to go ahead and turn the handbrake up and turn the ignition off.
Yep.
Cool. All right, Mclean, we're back in one piece.
Yep.
How was that?
It was good. I mean, I feel like there are obviously certain points that I either didn't know beforehand, or like the going straight through roundabouts, for example. Like I assume you still had to, like at the start, to indicate. Same with the U-turn. I was like again indicating for that, and the middle lane narrow street thing, having to like indicate to like quickly, or not quickly, but you know, but having to just do that early enough.
Yes.
So little things like that.
Yeah.
And so there were those points, and then also I guess like points that I probably should have known beforehand, like the whole like again when you were commenting on me doing my turns, you know, to give way sign or whatever, just being too wide, for example. So a combination of like little things that I know now, and some things that I should probably like maybe touch up on a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's you've hit the nail on the head. There's a couple of things that easy fixes, you know, like the roundabout, no indication required to go in. If you're going straight ahead, just indicate left to exit always. We also worked through a roundabout that was like this as well, so then that's just your first exit, so where there's only 2 exits, and your first one looks like what is a straight, so you're welcome to go ahead and indicate coming in or indicate exiting, so easy fix there. Also we went through a merge, and you didn't quite spot the signs, but there were signs on both sides of the road, so you do know that you've got to indicate, check mirrors, check blind spots. Cool. So I guess that's just a matter of scanning ahead nice and early, you know, and being able to spot the signs and stuff. So there was that, in general, I think I didn't catch anything else in general, but specifically, obviously, we talked about the reverse parallel park. I was hoping that we'd get another opportunity to do another practice, but checking both your blind spots. And I think that'll be easier if you keep both your hands on the wheel versus locking one hand into the back of the passenger, you know, and then you're like this. So then it's harder to sort of think about, you know, even checking the right. So keep with your hands, boom, boom, you know, and you're constantly kind of doing that. But besides that, you know, the maneuver itself was pretty good. It was within the time, within the movements, and you finished nice and close to the side as well. Dead end, you know, we've already talked about the need to indicate as you're working your way around. The 3-point turn, the flush median from the top of the road, that was just like here, I guess, turning right into the driveway here. I guess there is firstly the need to indicate and check blind spot, check mirrors, which you did, but just with this one here, you probably left it a little bit late, so we were kind of maybe sticking out a little bit on the left. But otherwise you're allowed to move in up to 50 meters before. It's like one lamppost to another approximately. But yeah, the flush median from the bottom, like this situation, where you have a flush median in the middle of the road and you're turning right, from the bottom or from a minor road into the major road. So you are allowed to use a flush median if the right's clear and the left isn't. And not only are you allowed to use it, but you're expected to use it. And it's a situation that often the testing officers will try and replicate, try and make you go through. So you've got to be comfortable doing what you essentially did there. That wasn't too bad. There was good speed control. You moved into the correct side of the flush median, and then you've just got to merge out. Cool. So yeah, not too bad, but obviously practice that. The change lane was good. The lane merge, we obviously missed indicating, checking our blind spot. We talked about the center line and the need to indicate, check your mirrors, check your blind spot. Mirrors indicate blind spot, either sequence. We talked about if you're turning left and that there's a bike lane.
Check your blind
Yeah,
spot.
and you corrected that. That was good. So you were obviously able to identify the bike lanes for the later ones.
Yeah.
So that was good. We talked about the lane choice from a single into multiple lanes.
Yeah.
So you do know the idea that you've got to move into the lane closest to you.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're turning from a single into multiple lanes, so I guess the trick then is like to be able to identify that then that you're turning from a single into potentially multiple. So maybe it's a matter of like maybe speed control and looking far away enough, and speed control in the sense that you're not going too slow.
Yeah.
That you're you know, irritating people behind you, but you're slow enough so that you can, you know, spot it, identify it, and then be able to adapt the right kind of lane. And to be fair, I guess like there isn't an expectation to be doing 50 through an intersection, right? Like with that one, you know, 20 might be a safe speed, 15 might be a safe speed, so long as you're promptly kind of moving off. Then I think that doesn't really annoy people. It's really when you're delayed moving off, then people are like, oh, why isn't he moving off? And
Yeah.
but if you move off and it's slow enough that you can, there's 2 lanes, I got to move into that one close to me.
Yeah.
And then I don't think that pisses people off.
Yeah.
Turning left too wide, yeah, that was a biggie. I think that was general as well. Like I noted that you were doing that through the turns, and then initially I thought it might just be the giveaways because you're approaching the end of the intersection and you're scanning, which is good, right? Let's go this one here. Here's a T intersection. You know, the idea that you're trying to scan for your gap and you're trying to roll through, you know, if it's a giveaway, there isn't a need to unnecessarily stop, so that's great. But maybe you want to do your scanning here versus here.
Right. Yeah.
So earlier, prior to the intersection, and that might be a case of maybe slowing down earlier and more towards the last 5 meters. Like if this was the end of the driveway, you know, you'd be doing it there and you'd be trying to scan your right. And then that way by the end, you've already identified whether you can carry on through or you have to stop. And if you are carrying on through, then you're turning from here rather than there. Yeah, because I noticed that you were doing it at the stops as well. So with that one, I kind of feel like maybe you just aren't turning the wheel enough.
Right.
Like you're getting to a point and then you're just holding your wheel there.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas you could bring your hands back and then turn the wheel some more.
Right.
Turn the wheel some more.
Yeah.
But you just stop. You stop there and then that's it.
Right.
Not a biggie, but I guess best practice would be that you're turning into the correct side of the lane as well.
Yeah.
And you would get marked down in terms of the point kind of system that they have, the assessment tasks, because there's the majors, the immediate failures, the minors, like the critical errors, and then there's the assessment tasks as well, which are like a point system.
Right.
And they deduct a point or something like that.
Right.
So those can accumulate. I think I had something else. I think intersection approach, decelerate more coming in.
Right.
So I guess those go hand to hand. Hand in hand. And I guess along with that is maybe the gap selection as well. Like it's great that you're scanning early, but sometimes you're then not able to identify a gap that you should take. And sometimes you end up like stopped too far into the intersection, like you've gone too far. So then you're not like there, you know, you're not blocking the whole intersection, but you are like beyond the giveaway line. Or the, So I think the decelerating more coming in and scanning earlier and trying to stop, identify where your intersection ends, where your lane ends. All of those will just sort of play a part in improving your turn position, your gap selection. That's probably a biggie, that gap selection. Something that you probably want to do a little bit of work on. I'm sure there were more than one time where you didn't take a gap that you could have. I think I prompted you a couple of times. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, or that there was that time when I did say, I said, oh yeah, that would have been a good enough gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so overall, Mclean, I mean, that's a couple of things there. I guess, yeah, I'll just put, so too slow in terms of gap selection, not in terms of speed control, but just you've got 5 seconds. If you have a gap longer than 5 seconds, then you should theoretically be able to take that. So if you don't, then it'd be marked down as a critical error for being too slow. So a couple of those. The one time that you didn't check your blind spot going into the bike lane, the one time that you didn't indicate for the dead end, and the one time that you turned from a single lane into the wrong lane.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I think generally those are the critical errors that I picked up. I don't think there were any major other issues. I mean, besides maybe just moving too far into the intersection, and stopping too far, but you weren't obstructing anyone. But yeah, just it'd be better to stop beforehand.
Sure.
Yeah, that's my overall summary there. Mclean, cool. Any questions?
I don't think so. I mean, or just to check, because how many critical errors are you usually? Is it 2?
Yeah, it is 2 over the entire 45 minutes. But it's only 1 during the first part, which is your 10-15 minutes. So if you get 2 during the first stage, then that's, you don't proceed to the next stage.
Right.
And if you're allowed 1 in the first stage and then another 1 in the second stage. But if you were to then get a 3rd, then you wouldn't pass. Okay. So not too far away then, Mclean. I think just a little bit of brushing up. You live in the city, but your parents live in Onehunga. Is that what you were saying? Then? And you're Monday to Friday over there in the city.
In Remuera, but yes, it's like central.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so I'd suggest maybe just doing a couple of lessons with a driving instructor to brush up on some of these areas here, especially the gap selection that relates maybe to the scanning and the deceleration, but just being able to identify that gap, right? Yeah, obviously, I think maybe even one roundabout, maybe, I'm not sure, but it sounded like a faint kind of toot. And I wasn't sure whether someone was tooting at us or whether someone was tooting at someone else, but that kind of threw you off too. You were like, you accelerated a little bit and then you paused. So maybe just working on that gap selection, that's probably a biggie. And all of those kind of sort of are kind of like a bit of a theme in themselves. The turning left too wide, the decelerate coming in, and then the gap selection. So that's a little bit of a theme there. And then just tidying up around the blind spot checks and the indication and stuff. You know, that's a little small space within itself, and potentially the observation, like identifying the merge sign and identifying when it's a single lane splitting into 2 lanes for a turn. You know, that's sort of like observation. So those are sort of some themes there that could potentially be worked on over a couple of lessons or something like that with the driving instructor in the lead to the 17th. Yeah, cool. Do you have any questions, Mclean?
No, I think that basically sums up, I think, everything that I would need to know, because as you said, like, it was some things I was aware of and the other things are just pointed out as well. So I think that's kind of clarified a lot of things. Cool.
So we'll end the video now then. Thank you all for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time.